The homeless man was singing on a New York street, voice rough, raw, but honest, real. The kind of voice that comes from living hard, from surviving, from knowing what loss feels like, what struggle means, what it's like to have nothing but still find a reason to sing. He had a guitar, battered, old, held together with duct tape and hope. But it worked, made sound, made music. That's all that mattered. That's all he had. The guitar, the voice, the songs. Everything else was gone. Job, home, family, dignity, all lost. All left behind in whatever series of catastrophes had landed him here. On a street corner, homeless, forgotten, invisible. A young man in sunglasses stopped, maybe 30, dressed well, clean, successful. Everything the homeless man wasn't. The kind of person who usually walked past, who didn't see, who didn't stop, who treated homeless people like scenery instead of humans, like problems instead of people. But this young man stopped, listened, really listened, not with pity, not with judgment, but with respect, with recognition, with understanding that this was music, real music, not polished, not perfect, but honest, true, worth hearing. That was beautiful, the young man said, British accent, kind voice. What song was that? My own. I write them. Nobody hears them. Nobody cares. But I write them anyway, because I have to, because music is all I have left. What happened in the next hour would change that homeless man's life, not just because the young man turned out to be Paul McCartney, not just because Paul would help him, but because Paul saw him, treated him like a person, like a musician, like someone worth listening to. And sometimes being seen is more valuable than any money, any help, any charity. Sometimes being seen is everything. This is that story. June 8, 1971, New York City, outside Grand Central Station, 2 p.m. Paul McCartney had been in America for a week. Meetings, legal stuff. The Beatles had officially broken up a year earlier. Now there was paperwork, contracts, settlements. The machinery of ending something that had been everything. It was exhausting, depressing, made him miss simpler times, when music was just music, when four friends made songs and nothing else mattered. He was walking, needed air, needed escape from lawyers and accountants, and all the people trying to divide what had been indivisible, trying to put price tags on magic, on brotherhood, on the thing that had defined his entire adult life. He heard it, a voice, singing, not recorded, live, right now, outside Grand Central. He stopped, looked, saw him, a homeless man, maybe 45, maybe 60, hard to tell. Life had aged him, hard living, street living, the kind that makes you look older than you are, makes you look broken, even when you're singing, even when you're creating, even when you're sharing beauty with a world that doesn't want it. The man was singing an original song. Paul could tell the lyrics were too specific, too personal, too raw to be someone else's. I had a home once. I had a name. I had people who loved me. But that was yesterday. That was someone else, someone I used to be. Before the war, before the loss, before I became invisible, became nothing, became this. Paul stood there, listening. The song was devastating, beautiful in its honesty, in its pain, in its refusal to pretend things were okay when they weren't. This was real art, street art, the kind most people walked past, ignored, dismissed as noise, as nuisance, as something in the way of where they were going. But Paul didn't walk past. He stood, listened, waited for the song to end. Then he applauded. That was beautiful. What song was that? The homeless man looked up, saw a young man, sunglasses, long hair, well-dressed, the kind who usually didn't stop, who didn't see homeless people, who treated them like furniture, like obstacles, like problems to avoid. My own. I write them. Nobody hears them. Nobody cares. But I write them anyway, because I have to, because music is all I have left, because if I stop singing, I stop existing. You're a songwriter? Paul asked. Was. Am. I don't know anymore. Hard to call yourself a songwriter when nobody hears your songs, when nobody wants them, when you're just a homeless man with a guitar that people ignore. But yeah, I write, I sing, I still do that. Even though nobody cares, I care. That song was honest, raw, real. That's rare. Most songs lie, try to make things prettier than they are. But yours told the truth. That's valuable. That matters. The homeless man laughed. Bitter laugh. Valuable? I'm homeless, living on streets, singing for change. That's not valuable. That's failure. That's what happens when your music isn't good enough, when you're not good enough. Or maybe it's what happens when the world doesn't listen, doesn't see, doesn't appreciate what's being offered. That's not your failure. That's ours, the world's. For walking past, for not stopping, for not listening. The man looked at Paul, really looked. Who are you? You talk like you know something about music, about art, about what it means to create even when nobody cares. I'm Paul. I'm a musician too. I know what it's like. The drive to create, the need to express, the feeling that if you don't make music, something inside you dies. I get that. I respect that. And I respect you for keeping it alive, even here, even now, even when it seems pointless. Paul? Just Paul? You have a last name? McCartney, Paul McCartney. The homeless man's face changed. Recognition. Disbelief. Wait, Paul McCartney? The Beatles, Paul McCartney? You're Paul McCartney? And you're standing here, talking to me, listening to me. That's impossible. That's not real. It's real, and I'm not the Beatles' Paul McCartney anymore. The Beatles broke up. I'm just Paul now, just a guy who makes music, like you. We're the same, both musicians, both creating, both needing to express. The only difference is people know my name, but that doesn't make my music more valuable than yours, doesn't make me more important, just makes me luckier, better timing, better circumstances. That's all. No, you're Paul McCartney. You wrote Yesterday. You wrote Hey Jude. You changed music, changed the world. I'm nobody, a homeless man singing on a street. You're a songwriter, a musician, an artist. That's not nobody, that's everything. And your song, the one you just sang, that was real, that was honest, that was art. Don't diminish that. Don't let circumstances define your worth. You have talent, you have voice, you have something to say that matters. Fame doesn't make it matter. It already matters. The homeless man started crying, not sad tears, overwhelmed tears, grateful tears. Someone saw him, someone listened, someone treated him like a person instead of a problem, like an artist instead of a beggar, like he mattered. Thank you. You don't know what that means. Being seen, being heard, being treated like I'm human, like I'm worth something. Most people walk past, look away, pretend I don't exist. But you stopped, you listened, you care. That's more than I've gotten in years. What's your name? Paul asked. Robert Chen. I used to perform. Coffee houses, small clubs, Greenwich Village. Had a following. Nothing big, but enough. People came. People listened. People cared about my music. Then Vietnam, 1968. I was drafted, 25 years old, had just gotten married, had a daughter. 2 years old, beautiful, perfect. I didn't want to go, but you don't get to choose. So I went. Infantry, Tet Offensive, saw things, did things I can't forget, things that changed me, broke me, made me someone else, someone I don't recognize. He paused, voice shaking. Came back in 70, different, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. Nightmares every night, panic attacks. PTSD before anyone knew what to call it, before there was help, before there was understanding. Just told to be strong, to get over it, to move on, but I couldn't. Lost my job, couldn't hold it together. Started drinking, tried to cope, made everything worse. My wife left, took our daughter. I don't blame her. I was broken, dangerous, not the man she married, not safe for a child. That was 2 years ago. Haven't seen my daughter since. She's 7 now. Doesn't remember me. Better that way, probably. Better she doesn't know her father's homeless. A failure. Living on streets. Robert's voice cracked. I write songs about her. About missing her. About wishing I could be the father she deserves. About wishing Vietnam hadn't destroyed me. Destroyed us. But those songs just sit in my head. Nobody hears them. Nobody wants them. Nobody cares about a homeless vet's pain. So I sing on streets, write songs nobody wants, and try to remember what it felt like to matter, to be someone, to be worth loving. Paul sat down beside Robert, right there, on the street, not caring about his clothes, his image, his status, just sitting, being present, being equal. Robert, I want to help, if you'll let me. Not charity, not pity, but musician to musician, artist to artist. I want to help you record, get your songs heard, get you off the streets, not because I feel sorry for you, but because your music deserves to be heard. You deserve better than this, and I can help make that happen. Robert looked at Paul, uncertain. Why? Why would you help me? You don't know me. I'm nobody. A homeless vet who couldn't hack it. Why would you risk your reputation helping someone like me? Because the world needs your voice, your honesty, your truth, and because I can. Because I have resources. Because I have influence. Because what's the point of success if I don't use it to help people? To lift up voices that deserve to be heard? You're talented. You're dedicated. You've kept creating even when nobody listened. That's courage. That's art. That's everything. And I want to help you share it. Paul made calls right there, on a payphone, to his manager, to his producer, to people who could help. I found someone, Robert Chen, songwriter, incredible voice, living on streets. I want to help him. Studio time, recording, place to live, whatever he needs, set it up. I'll cover everything, just help him. Within a week, Robert was off the streets, had an apartment, had studio time, had producers who listened, who cared, who helped him polish his songs without losing their honesty, their rawness, their truth. 6 months later, Robert released an album. Street Songs, 11 tracks, all originals, all honest, all real. It didn't go platinum, didn't top charts, but it sold, found an audience, people who appreciated honesty over polish, truth over perfection, Robert over image. Robert toured small venues, coffee houses, clubs, the same places he'd played before Vietnam, before everything fell apart, but now with support, with stability, with the knowledge that his music mattered, that he mattered, that being seen had changed everything. In 1985, Robert was interviewed about his album, his comeback, his life. What changed? How did you go from homeless to performing again? Paul McCartney stopped. That's what changed. He was walking past. Could have ignored me, like everyone else, but he stopped. Listened, treated me like a person, like a musician, like I mattered. That's what changed everything. Not the money, not the studio time, not the apartment. Being seen, being heard, being treated like I was worth something. That's what saved me. That's what changed my life. Paul saw me. And once someone sees you, really sees you, you can start seeing yourself again. Start believing you matter. Start living again instead of just surviving. Did you stay in touch with Paul? Yes, he's a friend now. Not a celebrity, not a benefactor, a friend. We talk about music, about life, about art, about the responsibility we have as musicians to tell truth, to be honest, to create even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Paul taught me that success isn't about fame. It's about impact, about touching people, about making them feel something real. And that homeless man on a street corner can do that just as well as a Beatle, maybe better, because the struggle makes the art more real, more earned, more valuable. June 8, 1971. A homeless man sang on a New York street. Paul McCartney stopped, listened, recognized talent, recognized humanity, recognized that circumstances don't define worth, that being homeless doesn't mean being worthless, That music from the streets is just as valid as music from studios. Maybe more valid, because it costs more, requires more, demands more sacrifice. Paul didn't just give money, didn't just offer charity. He saw Robert, treated him as equal, as artist, as human, and that recognition, that seeing, that understanding, that changed everything. Not just Robert's life, but Paul's too. Because being reminded that art exists everywhere, that talent doesn't require success, that struggle often creates the most honest music. That's valuable. That's important. That's everything. That's the lesson. Stop, listen, see people, not their circumstances, not their status, not their appearance, but their humanity, their talent, their worth, and help when you can. Not from pity, not from obligation, but from recognition, from respect, from understanding that we're all artists, all humans, all deserving of being seen. Robert was seen, and it changed his life. That's what seeing does. That's what stopping does. That's what caring does. It changes everything.